No. Yeah, it should be live. No. Oh, let me start this video.
Let me see if I can get my screen back up again. Lost it there. Sorry. I'm Gloria Moore. I'm Vice Chair with DeKalb Dems. Happy to see everyone here today. I'm also the co-chair of the Special Events Committee, along with Steve Parker. And we are delighted to be hosting our third event, our third forum. And I think we have 4 or 5 more left, so I hope you'll be joining us for future ones. This is what we do, is support our Democratic candidates, give them an opportunity to speak to the voters in every way that we possibly can to support them. And so we're hoping that not only will you hear from candidates this evening who are running for mayor of Stonecrest, but that you'll also give them an opportunity in the future and to find out what they have to say about how they would be mayor of Stonecrest. But we're going to give you a good introduction to them this evening. And because this is the kind of work we do, we call this Saving Our Democracy. We hope that you'll also consider supporting us by becoming a donating member and or simply being a donor. We'll put some links in the chat throughout the evening, and hopefully you'll take advantage of that. And also, once we get started, you're going to meet our chairman, John Jackson, in just a moment, who will tell you a little bit about DeKalb Democrats and what we're doing. John is at least arguably the best Democratic chair in the state of Georgia and maybe in the country. And we do not say that lightly. We love him. He is wonderful and he has done an excellent job, and he's going to continue to do an excellent job for us. So you'll hear from John, and then you'll meet Leona Perry, who is our moderator this evening. She'll be asking the questions of the candidates and giving them an opportunity to introduce themselves to you shortly. They'll have some questions to respond to, and then we hope we'll have some time to take questions from the audience. And since right now we only have 2 of our candidates, certainly want to make sure you understand we invited all of the candidates. And we did hear from Kirby Frazier that he was going to be unable to be with us this evening because of family emergency. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Perhaps Charles Hill will be joining us. I don't believe he's with us right now, but as soon as he joins us, if he does, we will add him into the discussion. However, we are going to move along and are certainly happy that we do have 2 of the candidates running for Stonecrest mayor. So I will see you again at the end of this program, but right now I'm going to turn it over to John Jackson and let John tell you a little bit about what we're doing with DeKalb Dems right now. John?
Hello, everybody. My name is John Jackson. I'm the chair of DeKalb County Democrats. And one of the great things about DeKalb County Democrats is that it doesn't matter what level of politics it is. It can be municipal, it can be federal, it can be the presidential election. It's all important. It all impacts your everyday life. And that includes this Stonecrest mayor's race. You know, Stonecrest embodies everything that is great about DeKalb County. It's a great place to live, work, and play. I enjoy myself every time I'm there, and I understand why so many people want to raise their families there. And I'm first and foremost, I want to say that the best days for Stonecrest are ahead. And I'm so excited about this election because it's going to be a new day for Stonecrest. The people deserve great leadership. And, you know, I'm very, very happy that we're having this event tonight. In order for us to continue to keep doing work like this, we need your dollars. It costs money. So go to DeKalbDems.com, go to the donor link, donate what you can. We need, no amount's too small, but no amount is also too large. We don't have, we do not have donation limits like campaigns. We can accept an unlimited amount. So if you want to give us a large amount, we'll take that too. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to someone I have great respect for. She has been involved with the DeKalb County Democratic Committee for a very long time. She's a former member of the Board of Elections here in DeKalb County. She served several terms with the Board of Elections. She's involved in multiple organizations. Everybody knows her because she's everywhere. Former third vice chair of DeKalb Dems, Leona Perry.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be in your moderator for today. Before I start, I would like to give you some ground rules, which Ms. Adama asked about earlier. Everyone, each candidate will have 90 seconds for opening, questions, and closing statements. And we are asking that you enable your video and audio during the meeting. And we also have a timekeeper. And you will notice that he will give you a 10-second warning when the time is up with an index finger. And when your time is up or you're going over the allotted time, you'll see the palm of his hand. Thank you. All right, first I'm gonna read the duties of the mayor of Stonecrest. The Stonecrest City Charter provides the following job description. The mayor shall serve as a ceremonial head of the city and as its official representative to federal, state, and local government bodies and officials. The mayor votes in the event of a tie of the council. The mayor appoints members to boards and committees. They also nominate a city manager and preside over all city council meetings, setting the agenda after receiving input from the council members, city manager, and the public. And we're going to start off with our questions in alphabetical order with Ms. Diane Adama.
You do opening statements?
Yes.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this great opportunity to be able to, oh, hold on, there's something on my screen. Okay, thank you for this opportunity to be able to share more about me and about my platform for mayor. First of all, Stonecrest is a city with unlimited potential and opportunities. I am Diane Adama, running to restore the trust in our government. As your next mayor, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be ethical. I'm going to hold myself and I'm going to hold others accountable. The powers of the mayor are actually embedded in the position, and I'm going to use those powers to be able to be a champion for Stonecrest. We need to vet new quality businesses, and we need an ambassador, we need a champion, someone that can actually brand the city. Many people don't even know that they live in the city of Stonecrest. In addition to that, there are 3 industries that can be sustained in Stonecrest, and I'm going to focus on bringing in those types of partners and industries. Number 2, I pledge to work with everyone, including all 3 levels of government, from our congressmen all the way down to the current council members, to be able to build new relationships to get things done, to be able to sit down with Michael Thurman, the CEO, and go through the intergovernmental agreements that we have so that we can be able to move Stonecrest forward. I am the only candidate in this race who has entrepreneurship and business experience as well as legislative experience. I also am the only candidate that's went through the statewide training with the Georgia Department of Economic Development. So I understand what economic development is. I'm actually working on projects in other states and economic development teams. I am day one ready to hit the ground running, ready to finish the work that I started when I served as your District 5 council member and as your mayor pro tem. One of the things that I strongly believe in is that we have to be transparent. We have to always know where our money is. And on my watch, I promise you, we will create a website where you will be able to have transparency with what's coming in and what's going out. I am Diane Adama, and I wish to be your next mayor of the city of Stonecrest. And if elected to this position, we will quickly move Stonecrest to the next level. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Ms. Adama. If you were elected mayor of Stonecrest City, as a city, for only 5 years what's working and what's not for the newly incorporated city of Stonecrest?
Thank you for the question. One of the things that is I'll start with what's working. What's working is that we are a city full of unlimited potential and opportunities. We have a 400-million-year-old mountain, Arabia Mountain, in our backyard. People come from all over the world to walk that mountain, and we don't even serve them or even sell them a bottle of water. There's no restaurants and shops or gift shops or anything like that. So we are rich in resources. I've done some research, and it'll be published next week, on the top 3 industries that Stonecrest can sustain. That would be healthcare, technology, and tourism. We have the infrastructure today to sustain them. Things like the film industry or also other industries, but it wouldn't be the main industry. We need quality development. I live in this city, and when I moved back to Stonecrest, one of the things I enjoyed was the bookstores, the coffee shops, and we had more restaurants. We're losing businesses. I did a survey last week. I'm hard pressed to find not one business who is happy with the current process as far as how they get their business licenses and things like that. And as a businesswoman, I understand that. So what is working in Stonecrest? My mom used to say, if all you got is a potato, you take that and you make the best potato soup you can make. And so we will continue to work with our existing resources. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Adama. Ms. Cobble, will you please give me your opening statement, please, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, I sure will. And if you don't mind, before I start that, I just wanted to mention that it sounds like some of the responsibilities for the mayor that were read may be some of what was in the prior charter of SB 208, and that there are some significant changes to those responsibilities in the amended charter, which is SB 21. So I just wanted to make sure that for everyone who was on the call and listening, they may have heard some of the role and responsibility from the prior charter, which is slightly different according to the newest charter. So with that being said, I'll give you my opening statement. Reform, rebuild, restore, building back a better Stonecrest. Truly, the future of our city rests in the critical work that we know lies ahead in rebuilding, reforming, and restoring Stonecrest. The resetting and restoring that hope in our residents, realizing that there's a need for a different level of expectation to be communicated to our community, helps us move this city forward together. I'm running for mayor to guarantee that we have continuity between both branches of government, and that will allow us to advance one unified agenda. That one unified agenda will reinstate confidence throughout our beloved community and make our city one that we can all be proud of. As councilwoman over the last 5 years or so, I've dedicated myself to demanding that we operate this city with fiduciary integrity and servant leadership. I've led by being vocal about improprieties and vigilant about instituting effective solutions. Choosing to move from the legislative branch, I believe, demonstrates my dedication to stabilizing the executive branch. And that will redefine us as the world-class city that we set out to become. Instead of leading with power, I'm going to lead by bridging gaps, building coalitions, fostering partnerships, instilling confidence, and providing a positive influence to inspire others to do the same. Those are the impactful attributes that will ensure Stonecrest realizes all the potential we know it has.
Thank you, Ms. Cobble. Have any other candidates showed up yet? Or should I refer back to the other ones that's here?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, Ms. Cobble,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
do you address the argument that cityhood is simply another layer of government bureaucracy? And is this true of the city of Stonecrest?
Great question. Cityhood done correctly can enhance the level of service that is offered to our residents and our stakeholders. By focusing on specific city services, planning and zoning codes, and economic development efforts, that are unique to the culture of a particular community. Cityhood can also strengthen zoning codes and regulations that support a particular quality of life that is desired by the residents of that community. Having that smaller span of control gives us the opportunity to put forth more concentrated efforts in engaging our residents and business owners into the decision-making processes of the city. That ensures that policies, codes, regulations, and plans are developed with all of us in mind. It is most certainly true for the city of Stonecrest that we have incorporated citizen-based committees, planning and zoning summits, sponsored city hall, town hall meetings. And of course, we provide feedback opportunities through our public comment sections of our council meetings, of our planning and zoning commission meetings, and public hearings. So the cityhood most certainly is not a hindrance, nor just another level of bureaucracy, but it really has those specific attributes that make it so that our communities are created with a culture that we desire.
Thank you, Ms. Carver. Ms. Adama, the same question of you. How do you address the argument that cityhood is simply another layer of government bureaucracy? Is this true of the city of Stonecrest?
Thank you for the question. As you know, I voted for the city. I believe in the city. And when you look around us, we have lots of cities that have been incorporated within the last 10 to 15 years. Many of those cities are thriving. They're doing incredibly well. I don't think the cityhood itself is something that's negative. I think it's important that we have the right leadership in place. Stonecrest is a new city, and so we need the foundation and the infrastructure put in place. People tend to attach cityhood to something negative, but when you look at the cities that are thriving, it is clear that cityhood can be a great thing. Let's go back and look at, why did we become a city? We became a city because we wanted to govern ourselves. We wanted a better quality of life. And we wanted to be able to have the types of shops and restaurants that they have in Dunwoody, that they have in Buckhead. As a businesswoman, I'm here to tell you that we can have those things. It's been 5 years, as was just stated. But as of today, it's like we've almost had a setback. On my watch, and as your next mayor, I'm going to move this city forward with first. If anyone is not talking about transparency, if they're not talking about accountability, and God knows if they're not talking about ethics, there's no way we can get economic development. Why? Because economic development is derived from having that infrastructure in place that will attract the type of investors that we deserve. I met with an investor today. They're ready to go. Stonecrest will thrive on my watch, and I know what it takes. Thank you.
Now, thank you very much for your answer. The other question I have for you, what is your opinion about giving away the city of Stonecrest land to private companies like Amazon?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. I can clearly tell you that I voted no. I voted no to giving land to Amazon, to rename the city Amazon. We would have been a city within the city. That's a vote that I'm very proud of. We had just become a city. So why would we give away land? And what would basically happen when we give that land away is now they would come in and build a little network or nucleus within our city and have the best schools and the best shops and restaurants, and we would still be on the outside. I strongly stand by that opinion. I think we have to govern ourselves. And when we know our history, we go back to Black Wall Street. If you know what that was, we have what it takes in Stonecrest to do what needs to be done. What we don't have the leadership, the accountability, the transparency. When I served as your councilwoman, I never missed a day from serving on that council, no matter what. And I would do the same thing as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Adama. Ms. Carbo, what is your opinion about giving away city of Stonecrest land to private companies like Amazon?
Sure. To make sure we're clear, none of the council members voted, and I don't know if this is where the question came from, but none of the council members voted to give away land to Amazon. But to answer your question in a more direct fashion, legally, the city cannot give away its property, nor can it give away property owned by other people in its jurisdiction. Stonecrest, like other governments, local, state, and federal, can provide incentives to companies to establish themselves in our jurisdictions. We've seen these incentives come in different forms. We've seen tax abatements, we've seen reductions, we've seen subsidies, we've seen rebates. A lot of times these incentives are partnerships between state and local governments, or county and local governments that offer, and those partnerships offer a broader incentive that will encourage a company to do business in the state that will have a regional or statewide economical impact. But you cannot just give away land owned either, like I said, by someone else in the city, or even land owned by Stonecrest. So that is not the intention, of course. Incentivizing companies that will bring economic development that is safe, not just safe physically, but also environmentally conscious as well, is something that I think everyone on the city council and our staff is invested in. But you cannot just give away government property.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next question. Since the City of Stonecrest Charter gives decision-making authority to the City Council, what would be your strategy for working with the City Council for the best outcome for the citizens?
Ms. Perry, that question was for me to answer first.
Yes.
Okay, great. The city charter, by amendment of SB 21 that was mentioned earlier, establishes that the legislative authority is vested in the city council, and the city council is the governing authority. However, the city council is made up of a mayor and 5 voting council members. So all 6 elected officials are decision makers of the city. So being on the city council for the last almost 5 years, my strategy for working with the city council will be to continue building on the well-established relationships that I already have with them. Continuity between both branches, as I mentioned in my opening statement, is truly going to be that stronghold that restores confidence back into our community. Under my leadership, the mayor's office is going to work in lockstep with the city council to again advance one unified agenda. Throughout my time on the city council, I've worked in partnership with all of my council members to implement legislative solutions and to truly make change where there were ambiguities or where there were policies that were not covering all the areas that it needed to reach. So as mayor, I will continue to serve our city with that same tenacity. I'm going to be ever present with the city council and in concert as I have been.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Collins. Ms. Adana, answer the same question for me, please. Since the City of Stonecrest Charter gives decision-making authority to the city council, what would be your strategy for working with the city council for the best outcome to the citizens?
Well, let's be clear on what that new charter says that has not been mentioned yet. The new charter is just about a disgrace to us. We went from bad to worse on some of those sections. Let me give an example. When we take our oath to have oversight over the city. When the charter was recently changed, it was changed for an individual versus being changed for what's in the best interest of the city of Stonecrest. And let me give you an example of something very disturbing. If you look at that charter, the mayor and the city council, and this happened on my opponent's watch. Let's be really clear in what's going on with that charter. The mayor and the city council have oversight, but they cannot sit in a meeting. They can't go to the city manager's meeting. They can't attend the planning commission's meeting. That's a disgrace. How do I have oversight over this? Happened on my opponent's watch. And that's totally unacceptable. There are several other issues in the charter. If you want me to set up a separate meeting to go over it, that charter has to be changed again. But in the interim, I think it's important for all of us to know we still have oversight. There are some things in there that even conflict with the Georgia Constitution We can't do that. You don't change a charter for a previous mayor or for some mayor's behaviors. You change the charter for the benefit of the people in Stonecrest. And that on my watch, I'm going to make sure that we have those hard discussions of what we really need to do to have full oversight.
Thank you, Ms. Adama. I have another question for you, please. How can cities best balance the needs of the public along with the privatized interests inherent in cityhood movement?
Not sure I understand the question, but I'll
repeat it for you.
Okay.
How can cities best balance the needs of the public along with the privatized interests inherent in cityhood movements?
I think democracy is all about the people, right? And so I'm a huge advocate that from all my trainings with the Georgia Municipal Association, I have been trained and informed that we always look to do what's in the best interest of the citizens. And as your next mayor, I'm going to be a mayor for the citizens who live in Stonecrest, the people who are here, the businesses who are here. And one of the things that we have to do is make sure that if the citizens don't want something, we need to listen to the citizens and at least see if it makes good sense. And it may not make good sense, but right now, I think we are trending down a path where we're trying to accommodate developers who are coming into my community, and I get very passionate about this, who are coming into my community and they're creating and building what they want to build. I want to bring in quality businesses, which is what the people want. So I don't have to drive on the weekend when my children come to town to take them to Buckhead or Perimeter. I'm getting up in age. I want to be able to go around the corner and have a nice dinner and be able to do things here. There's one thing they're not making any more of that we can all agree on. There's no more land being made. So as your next mayor, what I'd like to do is work with a developer who I'm already working with to bring in a mixed use development to maximize the land with nice luxury apartments and then businesses. And then on the bottom, have nice restaurants and shops and boutiques. So that would give us a nucleus for economic development.
Thank you, Ms. Adama. Ms. Cobble, the same question to you. How can cities best balance the needs of the public along with the privatized interests inherent in cityhood movements?
So let's be clear that cities are in place to serve the needs of the public. I think we are all aware that there are interests that the citizens have and interests that business owners have. And when those interests are shared and aligned, we can connect them to one another. That creates a balance that will create an ideal economy and community that everyone wants to see. So connecting our residential, our commercial, and our industrial community together through my recommendation, which is mutual beneficial agreements that will live in our planning and zoning department and our economic development department policies that will help us promote equity and prosperity for everyone. These agreements will ensure that the needs are balanced and that it sets standards for the expectations for both residents and business owners alike. But please make sure we understand very clearly that the city is in place to serve the public. But being able to balance the interests of both and making it so that we have the community that we all want to see and the economy that supports it is what government services are for.
Thank you. And the next question that I have for you, Ms. Cobble, is as mayor, one of your responsibilities is nominating a city manager within 60 days after you're in office. What qualifications would you look for in recruiting the best city manager?
So just to provide some context, the city currently has a city manager that was voted in unanimously by the city council about a year or so ago. So the newly elected official would not necessarily come into office looking to nominate a new one. However, the traits of a city manager that I would look for are the same as what we were looking for when the city council voted for the current city manager. Someone that has a wealth of experience with managing multiple lines of public services, someone who has worked in both small and large government entities, someone with relationships that can be resourceful to help manage a variety of complex issues that governments often face, someone with a sizable working knowledge of governmental accounting and finance, someone who was personable and compassionate, someone who was customer focused, someone that has proven personnel management expertise, and of course, last but not least, someone, and most importantly, someone who is devoted to the people of Stonecrest.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Your next question is, what challenges and opportunities do you see for the future of the city of Stonecrest?
The opportunities for the city of Stonecrest are endless, right? I mean, absolutely endless. However, to name just a few specific low-hanging fruit opportunities I see that are right before us is to, one, renegotiate, which the city council, and by the way, has already charged the staff with doing, is to renegotiate our current IGAs with DeKalb County, reevaluate our public works services that are being delivered, specifically looking at our right-of-way maintenance and litter control, and the hot topic of public safety as well. We want them to go back and evaluate the cost of providing that next level of service to our citizens. This will help us see that much needed improvement in those specific services while giving the city time to strategically and methodically, and most importantly, intentionally plan to bring those two services over. Another opportunity would be to continue enhancing our code enforcement services by funding more positions. We just funded one more position in our budget this year, and as long as the revenues continue to go in the positive direction that they're going in, the idea is to continue to expand that reach with code enforcement compliance so that we have positive effects on our safety and well-being for our citizens, business owners, and our visitors. Another opportunity for a low-hanging fruit opportunity is to continue to reestablish our relationships with our county, state, and federal government partners to ensure that Stonecrest is at the table when these opportunities arise.
Well, thank you very much. Ms. Adama, answering the same question, what challenges and opportunities do you see for the future of the city of Stonecrest?
Thank you for the question. The biggest challenge is that the people don't believe in the government. So we have to restore the trust in the government. I'm one of the only candidates that's talking about restoring trust and accountability and transparency. We don't have an ethics board, so there's nowhere for people to complain. The other thing is, let me go back to a couple of things that's been said. Our city have been laced with negative publicity. We are not demanding a forensic audit. And we've been a city 5 years. I only served 2 years. My opponent served 5 years. Why haven't these things been done? And the largest responsibility of the council is the fiduciary responsibility. Let's don't get this wrong. Let's don't get off track. Fiduciary responsibility and oversight of people want to know, where's the money? Where's the money? So when you have a city manager, going back to that question, we need a city manager who will be very sensitive to audits and to following through with the oversight, the administrative and the soft skills. The businesses are constantly complaining. Don't take my word for it. Just walk up and down Mall Parkway like I've done, and they'll tell you what the issues are with the city. We have to change that. We need to do better. We can do better. In 5 years, these are things that my opponent haven't done. It's a fact. On my watch, I will on day one implement 2 to 3 tasks and activities that will make the life better for the citizens and the business owners. We're at a crossroads. We don't have time to play anymore. We have to elect a council member who have great fiduciary responsibility and who will be responsible and accountable. And on my watch, you're going to know where your money is.
Thank you, Ms. Adama. There are a couple of questions that are in the Q&A, that's in the chat. And one of them is, who is responsible for the pickup cleaning for the mall and areas on the streets surrounding the mall?
Who would you like to take that question, Ms. Perry?
Ms. Adama.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be code enforcement.
Okay.
And it's my understanding, I pulled an open records request. I'll just add a little bit that we have almost 60,000 homes here. We are still a champion city because we're the largest city in DeKalb County, but then we're writing less code enforcement tickets than maybe our sister, like Brookhaven, those other cities. We should be writing more tickets. We should be doing more to clean up the city. And on my watch, I have a plan, a beautification campaign plan to pick up the trash, to bring in street lights. We need to pave more roads. These are things that it's not rocket science. You just need a leader who understands what needs to be done. I have shown that I know what needs to be done. I'm the only one on this stage today who have written legislation to bring in a youth council, and guess what? Declined or not voted for. I wrote legislation to get rid of blight, to create a land bank so we can get rid of all these dilapidated buildings. As of today, no one has picked up that legislation and passed it. Why not? I wrote legislation for a historic arts and entertainment commission and for conservation for Arabia Mountain. All of this, I'm the only one that's written legislation, and none of it got passed on my opponent's watch. So people need to know we're at a crossroads. It's important for you to select the right person to move Stonecrest forward, and I think that's only me at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Donald. Ms. Carver, the same question. Who is responsible? Who is responsible for trash pickup, cleaning of the mall, and areas on the streets surrounding the mall?
Yes, ma'am. The city has an IGA with the county to continue to do right-of-way maintenance. So the county is responsible for right-of-way maintenance and litter control. What the city has done, because we understand that the frequency of that pickup was not often enough. So what the city council did last budget year and again in this budget year is to fund a contractor to come in the interim between the county cycle to also do litter control and right-of-way maintenance. So now you have two sets of bodies going out on the streets of Stonecrest, which of course include the mall area and its surrounding streets, to help with litter control and right-of-way maintenance. So when the county is not there, our contractor is there. So again, it is a service that is still contractually with DeKalb County, but the city council understood and heard the feedback from the citizens and knew that we needed to help in that interim of that cycle. This is why we're talking about, and the city council has given the instructions to the staff to go back and renegotiate that IGA so we can see what that next level of service is and what that cost is, so that the county's frequency of litter control and right-of-way maintenance is increased. In addition to that, though, instead of just waiting for that to happen, the city council took the initiative to fund another group coming in to assist with that as well, so that we can truly see some improvement there on right-of-way maintenance and litter control.
Well, thank you, Ms. Cobble. And also I have a question. So they noticed that in the chat, they noticed that our communities rarely implement game centers, amusement, or large play parks for our children. Is this an objective of any of the candidates? Would you like
Yes.
for me to repeat that? Or
No, just need to know who you want to answer first.
you?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Cobble. I'm so used to you.
No problem. You're fine. Absolutely. having a diverse experience in Stonecrest is important to us. And that's outside of dining, which is usually a common conversation, is trying to diversify our dining experiences. But we also want to diversify more than just dining, which includes family entertainment. It is most certainly, I imagine, will be on the forefront of what comes out of our economic development master plan that shows different opportunities to expand economic development, recruitment, and retention efforts that will show us that diversity in more than one industry in Stonecrest is what's needed. Family entertainment most certainly is on top of the list. Dining experiences, recreation. There are so many industries that we would like to see diverse experiences in. Family entertainment most certainly is on the top of that list. And I look forward to seeing others that come out of our economic development plan so that we can have, like I said, strategic and intentional economic development recruitment that fits the fabric of our community, which I think is uniquely different than just a cookie cutter plan. Our economic development plan will have the input of all of our stakeholders, from our residents to our business owners to our faith-based community, our civic organizations. Everyone will have an input on what that plan should look like. And I have no doubt that a diverse family entertainment experience will be on the top of that for sure.
Thank you, Ms. Cobble. As a council member, do you have a track record of building consensus in order to get proposals passed? And give examples, please, Ms. Adama.
Thank you for the question. I think it's important to understand when you say consensus, what does that mean? I said earlier at the beginning of this forum that I stand for accountability, I stand for transparency, and I stand for ethics. And I don't compromise those things. And if I have to compromise those to build a consensus, then I don't want to be part of a consensus. But when it comes to those three things, if the individuals that I'm working with understand the importance of needing that infrastructure and needing that ethical platform to move forward, absolutely. And I think consensus building is a very fragile term. We have to be careful when we use that, because what Stonecrest need now is economic development. Stonecrest I'm the only one that wrote legislation for the youth. If you go down Brownsville, the constituents over there are telling me we don't have a nice park for our children to play in. Those are things, when I wrote that legislation, we had Delta and we had Coca-Cola ready to come in and work with the municipality. And this is not a cookie cutter. We were taking this, mimicking what Neat Robinson, the councilwoman over in Stockbridge, did. And all we had to do, let's be clear, all we had to do was cast a vote for it. It did not get a vote. It did not even get a good discussion, and it's still sitting there as of today. No one's done anything with it. So consensus for me means, are we going in the right direction?
Thank you, Ms. Adama. And I have a question for you. As a council member, do you have a track record of building consensus in order to get proposals passed? Give me an example, please.
Absolutely. I'll start with working with our DeKalb delegation, our senators and our state reps, to strengthen our city charter. That is what we've been referring to tonight as SB 21. Making significant changes to our city's purchasing policy, which that was approved by the city council and continues to be evaluated and enhanced through now our CFO's office and our citizen group of finance committee members. I also was instrumental in getting my fellow council members to call for a purchasing card audit and disclose kind of the misuse and policy violations that we've seen there. We've called for what most people have heard of is the investigation of the CARES Act funds. And we were able to also release those records so that the proper federal entities could take that and use it to bring justice to that unfortunate situation. We have strengthened many other policies through collaboration and being able to work together as one unified city council. What we talked about just a minute ago with the right-of-way maintenance contract was to be able to lobby support to fund that for this budget year. So many examples of collaborating.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Carver. Ms. Adama, can you please answer that question for me also, please? As a council member, do you have a track record of building consensus in order to get proposals passed? Give an example, please.
Well, you'd have to know what the dynamics of that council was. And yes, I do have a track record. The issue that we had on that council when I was there is that I was simply pointing out areas that needed improvement. And I'll give you some examples. We were out of compliance with the immigration laws. We were out of compliance with the federal laws. We were out of compliance with some of the state laws. And we had a finance manager, a finance chair, who didn't feel like that we needed to provide any minutes, who didn't feel like they needed to give any reports to the council. So when you look at those types of behaviors, you can't go along with those things. And keep in mind, the city is still under investigation. We're not out of the park yet. That investigation is far from being over. We want to make sure when we go to the polls that we're picking someone who definitely will stand for the right principles, because Stonecrest will not grow until we build the foundation. What is the foundation? The foundation is very simple. We need economic growth. We have to have transparency. We can be the #1 top Black city in the nation, just like Prince George's County, but we won't get there when people don't feel like that they don't have a fiduciary responsibility to manage the people's money. There was 10 months where we had the opportunity to do some preventative measures to prevent those things from happening, but it did not take place. Nothing happened until the fire broke out. And when the fire broke out, everybody wanted to investigate. No, you have the oversight before the fire break out. On my watch, that's what I would have done.
Thank you, Ms. Adama. And our next question is, give me your top 3 budget priorities for new programs, and how can you find the funds to move forward on them?
Are you talking? Oh, it's my question. Okay, my top program, I always believe in the youth and the seniors. We have to take care of, they are the 2 populations that are fragile in our community. So I would pick up that legislation that I wrote that's sitting there, that is legislation, nothing wrong with it. It just needs to be passed. Our youth needs somewhere to go. We need a youth center. We need parks. We need to have youth mimicking the council. That would be a priority. And with the senior citizens want to live the last years of their life in a clean city with good government. They want to have trust in the government. So I'm going to set up senior programs. I already have a woman designated to come in and hit the ground running to set up some task force and round tables, figure out what the seniors want. The other thing is we can build the smart city that I started working on. These are things I've already done the legwork on it. And the smart city, we had AT&T willing to come in and donate street lights as a pilot program. The council didn't pass it. These are things that are already there. You can't make this stuff up. Either you're on board or you're not. That's the next thing. The next thing that I would do is work with the monies, all the federal monies that are available. With that COVID money, did you know that we could have given every single household a grant to pay their gas bill, their water bill, their phone bill, their health care, get back and forth to work? Those are things that could be done. Those are things that when we don't take care of our fiduciary responsibility, someone pay a price for that, and that's the taxpayers. That won't ever happen on my watch.
Thank you, Ms. Adama. Ms. Carver, will you please give me your 3 budget priorities for new programs and how you can find the funds to move forward on them?
Absolutely. So to provide a little context into that, the city council sets the budget priorities along with input from the city manager and the mayor. It's actually technically the mayor's budget to present. And then the city council, of course, works with the city manager and the mayor to decide what will fit in the budget for that year. So in the current budget year, there are 12 priorities that are already listed for this budget year, and how to fund them is also there as well. And then you can see that there are another, I don't know, 7 or 8 that did not get funding for this particular budget year, just because there wasn't enough revenue to expand beyond the first 12 priorities. So many of the priorities that I would set are already set because I was a part of the team to do that. Most certainly, we talked about the economic development plan. We talked about the enhanced right-of-way maintenance and litter control. We talked about the enhanced discussion of planning methodically and strategically for taking over police services, or public safety services rather, revisiting that IGA so we can see what the metrics are, see what other new services are available that may not be in the current IGA. We've also asked for additional staff in our departments so that we can expand our services and truly deliver the quality of services that we're all looking for. And it looks like my timekeeper is stopping me, so I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you. There's another question. Will city services always be shared, or will Stonecrest eventually manage all city services? How will this impact how tax burden?
Wonderful question. The idea is that over time, and you've heard me say this use the words methodical, strategic, and intentional. Over time, the city would like to bring all services over to us. You cannot do that in haste, and you do have to plan that methodically so that there is the most minimal impact on tax, the most minimal negative impact on taxes that there can be. So you can't just bring them all over at one time. You have to consider economies of scale and the tax implication that will have. You also want to make sure that when you bring the service over, that you're providing a better level of service, not just the same level of service that was being provided for by the county. You most certainly don't want to end up in a situation where it costs more to deliver the service and then you're delivering the same service for a higher price. We want to make sure that when we bring those services over, that we're delivering a better service and it's for the best price we can possibly deliver it. We want to make sure that those two are on the forefront of that decision before we bring the service over. That takes planning, that takes understanding historical data, that takes understanding what kind of tax implication that will be on our residents and our stakeholders. So it takes time. It takes those who are trained professionals who understand the numbers, can dissect it, and make sure that we are making the best decision possible as we move these services over in a strategic, intentional, and methodical manner.
Thank you, Ms. Cobble. Ms. Adama, the same question. Will city services always be shared, or will Stonecrest eventually manage all city services? And how will this impact tax burden?
Well, I agree with part of what's been said, but here's where we may not be in agreement. Is that we have all these intergovernmental agreements with DeKalb County. Now, it's been 5 years, and as of today, no one has sat down with DeKalb County and taken a look at one of them that really truly concerns me is the public safety, the police IGA. The other day we had an incident, it's taking the police 38 minutes. My alarm went off and it was a false alarm, and it was 38 minutes before the police came here. These are real incidents. And so what we need to do, we don't even know if we're getting our bang for our buck with the county right now, because no one has taken the time to sit down. I think if you're going to sit down and talk about an IGA making modifications, the first thing you should be looking at is public safety. 38 minutes, if you're a senior, if you're a young person, or if you're anybody, that's totally unacceptable. And I don't think that we'll be able to take on water, animal control. Even if we had our own police force, we wouldn't be able to have a SWAT team, a forensic team, the DEA and others. Why? Because we wouldn't have the funding for that. And if you're gonna bring on your own police force, you sure don't want them to get mediocre pay. Right now, even if we had a police force, we wouldn't be able to pay them a high paying salary so that they can have retirement and other benefits. One thing that we know that we have to do that no one's talking about is we have to have audits, forensic audits, and we have to be able to find out where that missing money is for those P cards that no one is talking about, still under investigation.
Well, thank you, Ms. Adama. There's a question in the chat from a Dave Marcus. They both candidates have been involved in legal actions against the city. Why did you sue the city, and was it positive for the city?
Is that for me?
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I've never sued the city. The city actually took some action against me, and me and my attorney still feel that we were right in our stance on that particular matter. I've never sued the city for anything. I defended myself against the city, and you know, if I had the chance to do it again, I had the right to defend myself. I have never sued the city, so I'm not sure what he wants or where that question is coming from. But there's a lot of, my mother used to say, a lie can travel around the globe 3 times before the truth can tie its shoes. I have never sued the city.
Thank you, Mr. Dahmer. Ms. Cobble, the same question. He says, Mr. Marker said both candidates have been involved in legal actions against the city. Why did you sue the city, and was it positive for the city?
Sure. Same here. I have not sued the city. I've been involved in legal action brought against me and successfully defended it 2.5 times, but never brought suit against the city. I've always been a city council member, so I would not bring suit against myself. So that's not true in that sense, but I think that both, all 2.5 of those cases are public record, and everything you're looking for is well written for you.
And I thank you, Ms. Cobble. And I want to thank the ladies for the comments, for the opening statements. And this is a wrap for me, and you will now get to talk to Mrs. Moore.
Well, that was educational. I just cannot thank you enough for bringing all that enthusiasm and passion with you this evening. I would like to give both of you 90 seconds to do your closing statement, and then we will complete the program. So I unfortunately don't remember who started.
I did. You could start with Ms. Cobble.
All right.
Thank you, Gloria. And I won't take 90 seconds. I know we're over time on your timeline, so I won't take the full 90 seconds. I'll simply say this, working alongside our fearless city council, we can truly once again be Stonecrest proud. I look forward to all that is yet to come for the city of Stonecrest. And with your support to be our next mayor, we will achieve that and so much more. So join me in this movement to restore, rebuild, and reform, building back a better Stonecrest. Vote Cobble for mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Adoma?
Yes, as I said earlier in my opening, Stonecrest is a city with unlimited potential and opportunities. And as your next mayor, I'm going to ensure that we take advantage of all of that potential and those opportunities. I'm not trying to keep the continuity of the things that are not working in Stonecrest. I'm coming in as an agent of change. My nickname is Chisholm Thatcher. You ask me why. The other thing I know is that when I go around the city, people don't even know. They don't even know that they're in the city of Stonecrest. Businesses are starting to say, oh, we're in Stonecrest? Oh, we didn't know that. That's a branding issue. We've been a city 5 years. And no one can tell me why we haven't picked up that baton and branded Stonecrest as a destination. And as I said, we have lots of resources we can start with. Even if the Ruth Chris don't want to come here, we create our own. But you got to have someone in this seat who understand economic development. I'm serving now on economic development teams. I'm serving now as a developer working on high-end quality projects. So I know what it takes. And as your next mayor, we are all going to win. When I win, you win. Visit my website at dianeformayor.com. Join my team so you can help me move Stonecrest to the next level. Thank you so much. And thank you, DeKalb Democrats, for this great opportunity.
Well, I am so glad you both were here. Thank you very much for, again, all of your enthusiasm and passion. It's clear that the voters have some great choices and some hard choices to make about their next mayor. I would like to thank Leona Perry for doing this moderating job solo. Thank you so much for all of your hard work and all of the folks that are with us behind the scenes who make this happen every single week. I'd like to thank our audience for hanging in here with us, and also to let you know that our next forum is on April 16th, and it will be featuring the school superintendents, the Democratic school superintendents, and the Commissioner of Insurance. So we look forward to seeing you again then. And again, everyone, thank you so much for all your hard work and for being here with us. Good night.
Good night. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Hey, where's that link to donate?
Yes, please. It's
Yes.
in the chat.
I'll pass it along and I will donate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.